had to be scheduled for midday, and then somebody works until I guess 12, and so they asked that it remain. So we did it to accommodate one person who works until 12, but this don't seem to be working. Every week we have 5 or 6 persons, but nevertheless, hopefully persons are listening to the recordings.
Oh, Miss Paulette.
Yes.
Miss Paulette, first order of business. I have some matters to address in regards to that. I don't know if Pratt's sleeping or what, but only 4 classes so far have been recorded. I've been calling and I've been emailing, and I don't know what's happening.
Yeah, Mr. Pratt was in hospital this week, so
I'm so sorry to hear that.
Yeah, let's give him some time just to recuperate, and he should have everything up and running next week.
Okay, another thing, Demetria wouldn't be in class today. She's having some internet issues.
Yeah, she emailed me. I got a message. Thank you.
Okay, good.
All right. Yeah, so persons are yeah, I don't know if they're listening, but I'm looking at these grades, and these grades aren't telling, giving me the picture I want to see. I have, let me see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 persons that have not submitted any homework, and there are only 3 classes left, and there's only 1 question left. Okay, so I have some concerns there. I also have some concerns with the homework that was submitted, because it doesn't seem as if persons are grasping what we're discussing in the lecture. So there is homework, there's classwork, and I want you to ask questions, please, if you don't understand. A lot of persons are completing their homework and either copying directly from the book, or not showing up to class and not listening to the lecture, because you can see it in the homework, and the homework grades have been very, very low. In fact, normally I have about 80% persons getting 100% of the homework. In this course, I have 10% of the persons getting 100%. Okay, so please ask questions if you don't understand. I sent the ICA book along with the instruction sheet and the welcome message. I had asked persons to read only 2 pages, 17 to 19, because I mentioned as you go on to ICA, you can lose up to 30% if you do not, reference properly. And persons have not been referencing properly, and they've lost points. I had quite a number of persons, and I'm just going to speak about the homework that we received. I guess it would have been last night. It was on the risk-based approach. I don't know, like I said, you can work together. However, when you get to ICA and you upload your paper, there's a system called Turing. When you upload that, it tells you that somebody else already submitted the paper with this information, or you copied a body of work from this website or various websites. And so it gives you a percentage. And then it tells you that at the end, it gives you a total 20% of your paper has already been used before, 30%. But if your paper says 50% has been used by another student or copied and pasted from somewhere else, then you can fail. If you upload and you see that 50%, you might as well start to write the paper over, because you won't get a good mark. And so you want to be very careful. You have to read and put it in your own words. Switch the words around just to prove your understanding, or you don't get any points. Persons were putting hyperlinks in their essays, and they got no points for that at all. 1 or 2 persons said, there are 6 principles. Look at the hyperlink, and you look at the hyperlink and you open it and it goes into another 4-page essay. So nobody's going to read that to see what the 6 principles are. You have to look at the footnote referencing that ICA requires and put that at the bottom so we can fact check, but no mention of what the 6 principles are. And then a 10-page essay to read to find out. Like, we're not going to do that type of research. We're just going to fact check what you wrote. Okay. And then with the, like I said, back to this risk-based approach, persons went in depth with customer due diligence. And I don't know, you know, and a number of you did that. At least 4 of you, you know, talked about the risk-based approach and, you know, risk appetite, risk rating, but then went on with 2 pages of customer due diligence and all the statutory requirements. And I'm just trying to figure out how, but like 4 persons did it. So I don't know if you worked together and all decided that, hey, we can use one article and just write the same thing. But the 4 of you got very low points because you did that. Now, in terms of a risk-based approach, after you would have talked about the risk framework, which is risk appetite, risk rating, and risk assessment, then you can say one of the controls that we would put in place is for the account opening process. And under the account opening process, we get identification and we monitor by getting the passport and then doing client reviews, and that's it in terms of risk-based. But persons went on with identification and then monitoring and the MLRO, and like they went on into the statutory requirement. And I was trying to figure out why everybody went that route. Did one of you did that homework explain? Y'all there or no?
But they probably in class who did it.
Nobody in class?
I didn't do that question.
Miss Bullet, I know I did it for feedback. And
okay.
I think like I would have mentioned to you in my email, I don't know, I kind of felt lost with I know we're not on sanctions, but I felt a bit lost in actually wording or rewording the sanctions assignment and the risk base. I have an idea of the risk base, but I guess I didn't use sufficient examples. Yeah, exactly. And I knew where I went wrong, right? I knew where I went wrong with that. And like I said, that I answered those questions for feedback and, you know, to have an understanding if I'm on the right track to prepare me for the exam. So I knew where I went wrong. So I basically, I know I'm one of those students that actually referenced the book rather than using my own words. So, like I said, I know that with the sanctions paper or the assignment or even that chapter itself, I probably need to go back and read again. And I know I had some personal challenges too, so I probably didn't put the time in per se to probably even get a good feedback from you with that. I can only speak for me.
Okay, yeah. So just read your first, go to the book, read the book. But even when you take out what the book says, you have to change it into your own words. You can't just directly copy and paste from the book. And then you go online and do some research just to add to it. But like I said, for the most part, with the risk-based approach, everybody heavily went into all the statutory requirements and heavily went into customer due diligence rather than talking about risk assessment, risk rating, and risk appetite. So I'm just wondering if anybody else is confused or, you know, there's a wealth of information out there and you have to scale it down. You have to look at what the question asks. Okay, and the question wasn't a due diligence question. And like I said, it was not wrong to use, you would have needed to explain in my control library for account opening, we would verify, you know, and all of this is a part of the risk-based approach, but to go in depth, you lost points. After you would have said monitor and verify, that would have been sufficient. So I don't know, are we understanding that, Anita or Indira or Shanda or Daniqua? Anybody?
It's Paulette. For the most part, I've been ducking risks actually. So from intro, I have never touched the risk question, never. So this will be the first time I would ever touch the risk. But I don't see a problem. I understand exactly what you're saying. I wouldn't have taken that route.
Okay. Okay. Because like I said, 4 persons, and I don't, like I said, they had to study together or do something together because all of them went heavily on the customer due diligence side. So I just want to be sure, you know, that we're leaving here understanding that customer due diligence is a factor or, you know, an area that you can explain, but if you go in depth with it or with all the statutory requirements on a risk question, you won't get any points. Okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Ms. Bullard, may I ask a question, please?
Yes, go ahead.
So I know I missed last class. The electricity was off, but this is in reference to the question that I would have done. I'm just trying to understand. You would have commented and said that my information was too vague. So is it that I didn't? Because I'm trying to go based off of what you're saying now as it relates to the to this question.
Which question did you answer?
The first one, number one. So I'm just going because I want to make sure that I didn't understand as what you're saying here today as well for this risk question. Was it just that my information was too vague, or was it that I did not answer what was being asked?
Okay, let me pull your paper up
completely. Like,
yeah, let me look.
Was I on the right track or like?
Okay, I just give me 2 seconds just to look at it again. I'm looking at the comments. Let me see.
Okay.
Now let me just apologize now to your class in case y'all don't be hearing me a lot. I have my little niece and she working me kind of hard, so I'll be in and out.
Okay, all right, thank you. Yeah, see, two of the Nico, you had the hyperlinks in there. And did you look at the book on how to reference?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Now in your paper, I don't see, it says missing overview of the cases at the back of the book. Did you read the 3 cases and provide an overview?
Yes, I did. And see, that's what confused me because I guess I didn't understand, obviously, that I needed to include those cases because I read those cases, but what I did was I went and looked for cases that were, I guess, the similar, but related to the Bahamas. So I needed to include those cases out of the book in my question, in my answer, is what you're saying?
Let's look at the question.
That's the same mistake I made too.
And tell me if it's not clear. Let's look.
That's not what I was getting. I thought I was to, read the case.
It says financial analysis. You see it on this. Can you see the screen? Financial analysis
in front of me
has
as
been conducted by a recognized group, the Egmont Group, mapping out identified risks in regions across the world. Remember, identified risks is the human trafficking, the pornography, tax evasion, all the 21 crimes that falls under money laundering, using case studies from the Egmont Group on human trafficking.
It right there.
Discuss the techniques and methods used for the flow of criminal money.
Okay, Miss Bullet, I see it says using, but I'm thinking the way that is worded, the understanding that I got from reading that was using those cases. So I'm supposed to read those cases to grasp an understanding, look at the techniques used in those cases and compare them to ones being used here in the Bahamas. That's what I got. And so that's why I answered the way that I did.
Okay, so go back and listen to the first class. And I said, you have to read those and do an overview of those cases, and then say whether or not we have these same issues in the Bahamas. Okay, because I think this is what is happening. When you choose a question, before you complete the question, just do a review. Sometimes you have to walk away. Sometimes you miss stuff. Sometimes you fall asleep. I mean, I was taking a class and it was unbelievable. It was difficult to just pay attention and sit online and listen. But before I submitted my homework, I listened to the class again to make sure I caught everything and understood, what to do. And that's what I think is not happening. We're not going back and reviewing.
That's exactly what happened.
Okay. One second for me, 1 second. Yeah. So, Taniqua, is that what happening? Okay, so Indira say that's exactly what happened. Did you listen to the recording?
That you're speaking to me or Miss Major?
No, to Miss Major.
Before I answered my question, you heard me?
No, I didn't hear you.
No, I didn't go back over the class. You said if I went over and listened to the class again?
Right.
No, I didn't.
Okay, so that's what I would recommend. I know it's tough. It's hard to go to work and come to school, and definitely after you already, listen for 3 hours, it's very difficult. But if you were going to answer these questions in the final exam, if you're going to do it for homework and you want to get a good grade, and it's easy to get a good grade, as I normally say exactly what is expected, then you have to go back, you have to do a little bit more work. And I know it is difficult and it is tough. So if you can tell me what else I can do to assist or, to help, and this is why I'm saying, organize your time. Ask the persons that you live with, especially if you have young kids and a husband or a wife, work with me. I need to, take an extra hour here. I don't need to be overwhelmed. I don't need to be rushed. I need to focus to make sure that, I successfully get into this final exam, and like I said, this is why I want you to participate, in the class and talk as much as, let's let this be discussion based so you can retain it. I don't want you to walk away, Miss Bullet, talk for 3 hours. I hear not what she said. So give me some feedback. Let me know what I can do from my end to assist, because I'm very concerned about these grades now.
Well, I'm concerned about my grade too. With that being said, is there any other to make up points before that exam? Because boy, it's looking a little iffy. I mean, other than the civic engagement and the participation in class, like anything else to get some points?
Submit. Let me think about it. But if you all submit from the classwork, what chapters are we on? We are on chapter 7. If you all by the review,
sorry. Yeah. Offline, I just need to tell you how I need you to tell me exactly where I position. I don't think I am that much concerned about my grade, but once you tell me where I stand, then I need, because I don't really need anxiety. My head hurting me right now.
Okay, but so just multiply your grade by 0.2, and you would know what you how many points you got.
Okay.
So if you got 70% times that by 0.2, and you have 14 points if you got
okay.
70%.
Okay, well, I did it correctly then. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
I did it like that. Okay, that ain't too bad. So that's like 6 off. Okay.
Yeah. Add 5 if you participate in class, and there's some persons, let me tell you, and I'm looking
I think I got it about 24 or more. So I okay. I got it for 30.
Yeah,
I wanted to put 30, but that ain't happened this year.
3, 4, 5 persons that don't have 5% for participation.
Am I one of those? No, right? Daniqua, no, right?
Daniqua, no, Daniqua, you have your 5%. And then they are.
Good day, Miss Bullard. Good afternoon, everyone.
Hi, good day. Yeah, there's still some persons who didn't do their civic. So you let me know. Let me just go back to Indira. So everybody would know. Multiply if you got 70, 80, 90% by 0.2, add 5 and add 5. So you would have 24 points out of possibly 30.
Okay, I can live with that.
Okay, all right. Go ahead, Clavia.
Good afternoon, Miss Bullard. I just wanna go over where I went wrong so I could know what to focus on for and I with Tonico on this too. If there's anything we could do to make up.
It was you just missed that because I just went over what went wrong. And I just asked for persons who did that homework to speak up and nobody spoke up.
No, I saw
it. Only Anita who did it for review. Sorry?
I just got on. Sorry, I was a bit late.
Yeah, so we already, but I said persons who went too far on the due diligence side. Okay, and so what you should have talked about is risk appetite, risk rating, risk framework, risk assessment, risk mitigation, risk analysis, stuff like that. And then when you got to the control library part of it, then you could mention in my control library, in account opening, we identify and we monitor and what have you. But you all took the whole thing into a customer due diligence question rather than risk. And so your persons went on to talk about PEPs and simplified and enhanced due diligence and all these things rather than, so the majority of the paper turned out to be customer due diligence rather than risk.
So we was overthinking it then?
Yeah, you all just went too far.
Okay.
Yeah, with your example should have been one example on what we do rather than go on and on about all the statutory requirements. So you didn't get any points for that.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, so focus more, like I say, read the risks chapter, understand risk appetite, risk assessment, risk rating, recommendation 1, and inherent risks, operational risk, liability risk, all those things like that. That's the way you should have gone with that paper, not with the in-depth customer due diligence.
Okay.
Okay.
So Ms. Bullard, I have a question.
You still could let us know, if anything is possible to help us out just a little bit here.
Yeah, but most of you, like I said, when Indira just added up her score and she going, if you have less than 20 points, then you should be concerned. But most of you, Toniqua, you don't have less than 20 points, Toniqua.
I still concerned, Miss Bullard. Come on now. You and I both know I go on for, that paper cost me a drastic decline. Compared to my paper last time, I was like, okay, no.
That's what it is. I'm comparing my mark now to what I in the first in the intro, and I'm like, Jesus, I retarded now. Like I ain't getting it.
No, but you understand where you went wrong, right? Yes. You just missed out the most important part of the paper where it said use the case studies. So probably if you'd used the case studies, you'd have gotten full points. Right?
Right.
Yeah, so you and retarded, you know what to do. You just misunderstood.
So what you're saying is we can't do question 4A.
If you all wish. If you all wish to do question 4, then do question 4. If you wish. If you're really concerned.
I ain't sleep good like this.
Okay, but please look at the due date and send it on time.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
No, boy, I can't put myself in that. No way, are you comfortable like that?
You good? Okay, good. So when I see the submissions, that's it. After that, that's it. Y'all do question 4 and make sure y'all understand what it's asking and how to answer the question if you want to get a better grade.
Question, I could get this information from someone in the bank and write on it like that, because I don't work in a field where they would have these type of things.
Right.
But I could get the information and write on it.
Right.
Okay.
And they don't have to give you personal information.
No, I can make sure.
Because people, when you ask them about their AML policy or what they do, they can't divulge, information. But everybody, you could say, do you use WorldCheck? Do you use Nexus Lexus? Does it scan names every night?
Okay.
What's the process like that? Just high level information enough for you to do your paper.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
All right.
All right. Very good. So any other questions or concerns on the homework? What about the classwork? I'll be taking some time, and again, 3 weeks are left. So are we organizing ourselves? Do our institutions offer study leave?
Well, I'm going to take it. I don't know if they offer it, but I take in what I need to take.
Okay, but if like I said, don't wait till the night before. If you have 2 days, try and break it up into half days, and perhaps take 1 day to do chapters 1 to 3, then 3 to 6, and then 6 to 9, like that. Try and break it up so you're not so overwhelmed. And when we get to the review class, please pay attention. Please do your research. Please listen to the class that your topic is on before you come to the review class, and please come fully prepared to give good information, because a lot of persons, just depend on me to give the answer. I'm not giving the answer because I won't be there to help you write that in the final. So please prepare yourself now for the review class. You're going to be placed into groups. Please work with your group member, and the first thing is listen to the recording. If it was on sanctions, you listen to the recording on sanctions. If it's on tax, you listen to the recording on tax, and then you go into the book, and then you go online and do your research. Okay, so come with good information so you can walk away from the review class with 10 valid points that you can develop. And again, start to think about what the mandatory question is. You have to get that down pat. If you didn't do it for homework, please make an attempt at it so you can ensure that you have sufficient information. And then there are 4 other topics. Now, Dira, I know you say you're staying away from risk. 4 chapters on risk.
I can't.
Yeah, so please.
I would be taking a risk if I do that.
Yeah. So walk away with the basis, and make sure that you understand the basics of risk. Recommendation 1, risk assessment, risk appetite, and risk rating, which we're going to discuss in this class.
Question, Ms. Pullers, you say break into groups. It's enough for us to go in a group A.
Well, nobody is sure. We started off talking about this 1 o'clock class, hampering persons, but there are 16 persons in here.
Well, only 8 on today.
Yeah.
And you was probably in 8. So only 7 or so on.
Yep. Every week, yeah. So it's supposed to be 16 persons. So we'll see what happens. Hopefully they listen in afterwards, but they are not getting any points for participation, and most of them haven't even done homework. So there's nothing I can do. Nothing I can do about that. It's here. You have to participate at some point if you want the participation points. If you want the 5 points for your civic organization, you have to share with the class. It's out there, but I don't know. Okay, but anyway, you all who are here and the persons who are gonna listen know what to do. So nothing else I can do. That's all I can do. Okay, so let's talk about what has happened in the news this week.
Oh yes, we have plenty issues, Ms. B. Let me just go first. The police force now. I see outgoing Commissioner Paul Roll having some issues. We have two concerns. The gun issues, and then how they gonna the lawsuit between the incoming commissioner now and his deputies, and the government have to pay them. How that working? That ain't a conflict. Let's help me to understand what's going on with that case. With Clayton Fernanda and Delavo them.
Well,
help me to understand that.
It's I don't understand it either, but I think it's gonna be like a Shane Gibson type of situation because what happened was, of course, we know everybody brings in their persons, all the permanent secretaries or whatever. When the government changed, that's just what happens. So what they try to say is, crime is such at a high level in the country, you do not want to change the commissioner of police. Like you don't want those type of positions, and the defense force person, you don't want them to change every time, the government change. So try not to make it political, right? So what happened was, I think the government had sent, and this is just street talk again, you all have to verify this. The government had sent both Marvin Dames and Green Slade away to school. Of course, we know Green Slade became the commissioner of the police. Then, so after he became commissioner, Marvin Dames then said, well, he went to Bahama to be the head of security. So Bahama was in all of that legality and with, the government and the Chinese and Sakis. And so they had stalled for a while, and they didn't open. So during the interim, Marvin Dames was not employed. It is alleged now that Marvin Dames called Green Slade and said, give me a position and make me a deputy. It was said that Green Slade said, no, I cannot do that. So Marvin was out of work for some year plus while Bahama was going through litigation or whatever. Marvin then joined the FNF. Hubert Minnis gave him a job, and Marvin became the head of national security. So what did he do immediately? Green Slade, I asked you for a job. You were supposed to help me out. You didn't help me out. Let's go move you and make you now a commissioner. We can send you somewhere far and that you will still be working, right? So with that change, apparently there was some controversy or whatever, but Clayton Fernanda and Lehman, Delavo, and all of them are alleged to be PLPs. So with that same, we can move Green Slade, then you all do now. We have to put our F&M people inside these positions. And so here it is now, the deputy positions was created. And so Clayton, those were at retirement age in any event. And so they say, oh, we ain't even gonna worry about you, we just gonna send you home. Because our people got to be in position. And I guess they wanted persons, of course, who in support of Marvin Dames and whatever his strategies were. And so that's what happened. Like I say, when the government changed, normally, you put your people in position. So Clayton was retired or on semi-retirement or something to that effect. So anyway, when the PLP now won, Paul Roll brings Clayton Fernanda those back and says that, well, basically, they shouldn't have been retired. They put them out of a job. They wasn't working the whole time. The FNM was in power and blah, blah, blah. And it was victimization. It was whatever. And so he brought them back on staff immediately when the PLP wanted to say it wasn't him. And he wanted everybody to know that he did not send them home or what happened. So now, I don't know. When the FNM did put Paul Roll in place, now Paul Roll being retired and being replaced by Clayton Fernanda. So I don't know. That's basically what happened. But you like I say, you don't want to tamper with those type of positions because crime is at an all-time high, and that position should not be political, but it is. just like every other position is political, right? And you want persons that support your strategy. And persons, you know, you all know his size and his teams. Marvin Dames didn't feel that they was going to support his strategy, so he moved them. Now the PLP in power, they back in place. But I can tell you that if the F&M win again, they better be prepared to retire again, and for good. So that's what's going on. And so now, because Shane Gibson has sued, even though Shane won on a technicality, not that he was innocent, he won on a technicality. He sued the government, got 2.5 million or something like that. So now they now think, you know, they get sue the government for putting them on half pay or whatever, doing the F&M, whatever, and the PLP might agree. So who suffers through the whole thing in there? The people, right?
Yes.
Yep. So that's what happened. So when I saw that, I didn't even read it because I said this is ridiculousness. You bring the man back now, they retire you. What's the difference on what Marvin Dames did to what they doing to you now? What's the difference? What's the difference?
There is no difference.
Okay, but now you speaking out against it and you have this problem, and then you have a problem with the guns. You are the commissioner of the police, sir. That falls under your portfolio, sir. Would you come into the papers and saying you having a problem with it for and this your job? Why are you speaking in the third person? Who, if the commissioner of police can't do nothing about it, who? Who should do something?
This thing with this gun goes so far deep, Miss Bullet. Let me tell you what I think is the real issue behind these guns. What's coming in? Little girl, be quiet. So these private yachts, these custom officers, I don't think they go into the bottom of the yacht and check in. If you ever been on a yacht before, you'll be amazed to see where you can hide and smuggle things on a yacht. You wouldn't believe it yourself. So I think that's the main issue. They're not doing the proper checks and balances at the custom area. So that's just my 5 cents. I could be wrong.
Right, agreed. Okay, and so if we know that as citizens, what do you think the trained police know?
Police force looks like they getting dumber and dumber by the years.
You really think it's dumber and dumber, or these investors coming into this country investing all this money so they can do what they want to do?
Yeah, they turn in a blind eye to certain things and get pay off. Yeah, I agree with that too.
And whose responsibility is it? Who in charge? The commissioner of police, the minister of national security. That's their job, right? So if we were to give them a report card, what would they get?
They will be getting F.
Okay, so at the end, if the citizens talking about it, and it all over social media, and every day is gun. Every day, nobody getting, I mean, person's getting stabbed, but my God, 90% of the murders you shoot, none of these are legitimate guns on fire.
9mm, these AK.
Thank you. 8 people.
Where do you say these highly powered weapons coming from? They coming from somewhere.
Right. So 8 persons died this week, not with the same gun. Okay, not with the same gun. 8 persons died this week, and every day. So, don't take on these positions and then talk with this is your responsibility. You were hired to fix this. You should be saying, this is what I have done. However, we still have some more work to do.
That's what he's supposed to say. A true leader is supposed to say.
Yeah. Yep. Not I going into retirement now, so I can say all the stuff that on my mind. But anyway, yeah. Okay, so very good, very good. Anybody else wants to share?
Yes, this is Doniqua. So in the Tribune for July 1st, I was reading where it appears that the Bahamas may be entering a legal battle with the Spanish government, and it's in relation to sunken treasures that would have, I guess, ships that would have belonged to the Spanish government that would have sunk in our waters some years ago. And they're now saying that they want to retrieve the sunken treasure and put it in museums. So the I think it's Madrid. They reached out, or they're liaising with the United States to have persons come and retrieve the items from out of the waters. But however, it appears to be some issue because the Bahamas now, I guess we feel we have some claim to it because it's in our waters. And so there's a bit of a back and forth going on, I guess, as to who the treasure actually belongs to.
Okay.
It's saying...
Is it only specifically there, sunken trips? Because this one ship? It's
one
only
ship.
one ship. Yeah.
One ship. From what I read, it's only one ship. It seems to be only one ship that they're talking about. And they're saying that the Bahamian law gives explorers permission to salvage the items under the license that was granted by the government in 2018. It was an abandoned wreck from, I guess, I don't know how many years ago. It doesn't say. But yeah, there's a bit of a back and forth going on because the Spanish government has gotten their attorneys involved, and they're using Covington and Burling to help them with this case. And it's said to be valued over $1 million, which we could really use. But anyway.
But I don't think we're fighting for the entire thing. We're saying we should get 75 or 50% or something to that extent. Right? Because the Bahamas needs to update their laws.
Right.
Were they, I'm sure they were paying just like airspace, right? When you cross through our waters, are you paying to some type of tax or what have you to get from Miami to Venezuela or to Madrid or wherever? Is there any payment? Because in the US, you have to pay, as well as in the air. I think we just do our airspace, and I don't know if we're collecting for that yet. So these are ways that we can make money. Now, I'm certain that this company would have received insurance. So the insurance should really be the one who wants to salvage this, and make a claim, not the government. So I think the two governments are wrong. But of course, the insurance probably say we don't have no equipment or whatever. We ain't going to the bottom of the ocean Yeah. So I think if the insurance, because I'm certain that boat didn't go down uninsured, right? And so we need to update our laws to make sure that we get our taxes or what have you for transit, being the transit country, or we get a negative media for that. And so therefore they need to start making money from that. And when these things happen, there needs to be a clause in these agreements to say, we get what somewhat of a percentage. But again, we are reactive, so I guess they'll update it now.
They probably never expected anyone to even come back, and especially after so many years, to say, because I'm trying to find the date. Oh, so it says it was from 1804.
But listen to me.
So,
I'm sure people already dived that up and whatever would have been there.
I was looking for the date because I remember seeing it and I couldn't remember what the year was. And they did mention one of the laws, and they're talking about the Abandoned Wreck Act 1965. Like, we in 2022.
Right.
So we really need, like you say, to update our laws.
Yeah, and protect, because environmental hazards and all. The tanker that Utopia is a big yacht that hit a tanker, an oil tanker, and it sank. That's at the bottom of our ocean. Who coming for that? That's an environmental risk.
Yeah.
Yeah. So all these things, like, the laws need to be updated. The Bahamas need to be protected because Utopia is a billionaire yacht.
But they need the minute something like that happens, I feel like we should at least try to do something, because look at this case now with these Spanish people coming back years later, and it seems that this thing is worth so much money. Like, it needs to be some way where we can at least profit off of it, because we need the money. I mean,
Yeah,
can't let them just slide.
from
Think and slide.
1800, why they think it's still there? You know what I'm saying? To wash up in Andros, and you know, one tanker went down during the hurricane
Oh, wow.
somewhere, and all of those some clothes and all sorts of stuff float up, you know. So, you know, good luck if anything is down there, but good, it'll, you know, push
So
them
Miss
to
Bullet,
update the laws before other people come in claiming.
so they have the correct GPS coordinates to get this treasure or whatever.
From
That's my
1804, these GPS
So
systems
where
were created.
so do you not so the hell how the hell they can find out if they don't have the coordinates?
Okay, and all kind of divers done been down there for years and years and years. So I doubt it. But anyway, good luck to them.
That's with that.
They're going based off the last coordinates, and they can go from there and hope they find something.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. Okay, but good luck to them. Good luck. But again, from the lawmakers to update and, you know, get things in place and protect payments.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, good. Very good. Did anybody see the UK parliamentarian, the minister of something? I forgot. Who?
No.
But this was just yesterday. They call him the Minister of Whips. He is supposed to keep, or they call him the chief whip, who is a political leader whose task is to enforce the whipping system, which aims to ensure that members of the party attend and vote as the party leadership desires. He is the treasurer of the HM household, the deputy chief of whips. Nobody is listening to this music.
No, ma'am.
Okay, well, I only paid attention to it because, you know, our topic is human trafficking, the pornography, and all these different things. So it's a bit similar. It's sexual harassment. So apparently,
God.
Yeah, you heard about it, eh? Yeah.
No, why on R. Kelly? I just remember about R. Kelly now.
Right.
That's what I was supposed to address too. R. Kelly with this 30 years.
Okay.
Child, I don't know.
Yeah. So R. Kelly and then this man, apparently they had this party and he got so drunk and he broke 2 men. And so they made him resign immediately. And they say that they've been having all these parties where they get so drunk every weekend. And so they are even yielding for the Prime Minister Boris Johnson to, you know, stop the parties or resign as well, because so many activities come, you know, stem from these drunken parties that they have every weekend. So yeah. And then, yeah, and there are R. Kelly. What do we have to say about R. Kelly? This case should definitely be very current, and we can use this as part of our
of course I'm gonna use that.
Yeah.
That came in very handy. I have to search a little deeper.
Okay, so good. Make sure you get the details. So again, for many years, you know, he's been in and out of jail, accused of sex trafficking and human trafficking of these underage girls. He's gotten now 30 years. Persons are online asking, are we still going to listen to his music? Are we still going to
I love R. Kelly music.
Okay, and so somebody responded and said, what about Prince Andrew? What about Donald Trump? What about all these? We still support Donald Trump and we're going to allow him to run as president.
Because R. Kelly is black, okay? So that's why they're going to treat him that way. He's black.
Okay, but I don't doubt that he is guilty. Okay, even though he is black and they probably
we know R. Kelly is guilty now, Miss Bullet. From a later time he was fooling with little girls.
Right. Okay, so we don't want to just say that he is black, but yes, the penalty probably way more harsher. And like I said, there are other men that are just as guilty and have been getting away with it for years and who have not been brought down. So you want to be, you know, aware of that if Donald Trump could still be president, or and all these it's alleged, and the Prince Andrew still the prince, then fine. And we also see that the lady who was what's his name, Jeffrey Epstein's girlfriend, she also got sentenced, I think, to 30 years this week. Did we see that?
Yeah. But Miss Bullet, I have mixed feelings about some of it. I know we know he's guilty, and all the other rest probably too. But my thing is here, where the parents should be charged, the producers should be charged, everybody
Correct.
involved.
Who turned a blind eye?
Because ain't no way in hell my 14-year-old spending the night to the studio with a grown man.
Yeah.
It's like y'all knew what was happening. Y'all just wanted to get rich, and y'all turned a blind eye to what it is he was willing to do for them to get rich. And then they still ain't rich. So if you see that all these things and you try to in layman terms sell your daughter on the low, because that's basically what I see it as, like, you need to be held accountable as well. Who it is, who was holding the camera while he was doing what he had to do, who it is, who stored the tapes, everybody, y'all, the people that live in the house, everybody's supposed to be locked up.
Correct. And I agree. But again, I agree. We live in this society now, and I'm very, very afraid, where persons, like they say, money is the root of all evil. Persons it's not their business. They don't want to get involved. They are afraid to get involved because they feel that they are going to be ostracized rather than the person who committed the crime, which is true. When persons support a lie more than they support it. You tell the truth, people don't like you. People don't like you if you tell the truth. But you have to remember that, you have to maintain your integrity, and you have to do what's right, and that you answer to God, not to these people. But my experience this week was that I received, did y'all receive that WhatsApp with the bag over the baby's head?
No, I didn't.
Okay. Thank God that you didn't. So here it is, minding my business last week. Sorry?
I got it. It was horrifying. I routed a person.
Listen to me. Here it is. I think I was walking into the store out east, Solomon's, minding my business, looking for some fruits. And my phone just keep going off. And I was like, who is it? Now some other text came through, and then I was like, well, what is this? And I don't know why I pressed download. And when I downloaded that, I was horrified. I couldn't even get my groceries any longer. And there's a lady who is a police officer who is in my other class. I looked and I got her number, and I sent that to her. I said, I don't know where this is, but please find this baby. And if you have to bring this baby to me, bring this baby to me today. I'll keep it. Please take this baby from this person. And she was like, oh my God. And she sent it into the, whatever, the cybercrime, division or whatever. And she said they had already had it and they were looking into it, and a few persons had sent it in. But I tried to call the person who sent it, out of the group. And I said, where did you get that from? And they say, it's going around on WhatsApp. I say, why didn't you send that to the police? I said, did you see that there was a baby? And so he said, yes. And he was like, well, I don't want the police questioning me or. And I was like, oh, no. I said, listen, even if you do it anonymously, that baby couldn't have been more than 6 months. Okay. So please, guys. And again, this is how we came to this.
The baby is a little girl or a little boy, Miss Bullet.
You couldn't see because a plastic plastic bag was over the baby's head, and the person was recording it.
But Miss Bullet, they said that wasn't here, right? Someone told me that.
Yeah. The Jamaican police put out an announcement that it was in Jamaica, and they found the person and they had the baby.
They say she's a mental patient or something like that.
Okay. Yes. And again, she is mental. So, I mean, that baby should not even be in her care. Okay. But as citizens, and I know, like I say, you go to court and the person who commit the rape or the robbery walking out the door with you, and they seeing you and they having your name. And I know the police does not protect you, but please, even if you do it anonymously, and this is why 70,000 Black women in America are missing. you know, because everybody is afraid. And like I said, this is how we got our topic, because a gentleman sat in my class and said, I worked at the casino, and in the middle of the night, these girls come in and they're non-coherent, you know? And he was like, oh, I need my job. I just the waiter. And I say, no, 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 no. Compliance has to be everybody's business. And this is the only way we could put a, you know, stop to some of this. And this is why the criminals get away with it, because everybody is too afraid to speak up, and nobody wants to give testimony or to be, you know, ostracized. And so these criminals know this, and they commit crime after crime after crime. Okay, we have to speak up. The police aren't doing what they are supposed to do. But like I said, even if anonymously you say, please go and find this child, or please come and take a look, or it's somebody's job to do it, and, you know, push for it to be done. And that way we could reduce the amount of Black women that are missing, or, you know, babies that are being harmed, or, you know, this human trafficking ring. We can't eliminate it, but we could, you know, mitigate some risks around it, because all of our eyes are watching, and we're not afraid to share the information. Okay?
You all help me to understand something now. I must have been freaking out yesterday. I'm sure I glimpsed this in the newspaper yesterday. There was a robbery the armored car in the vicinity of Scotiabank East Bay. How in the world you could rob the armored car security with two night deposit by?
It wasn't an armored car.
Okay, what it was?
It was a regular person that had their deposit by.
Okay,
the armored car was actually just on the side of them, so they thought that the intention was for the armored car, but they never went towards the direction of those. They robbed like a regular business person.
Okay. Because I was like, I say, an armored car, people get gun. I say, hold on now, I see it wrongly.
Indira, let me tell you what happened to me. Let me see what year it was. It would have been this would have been in 1999. I was working at Commonwealth Bank East Bay, and the armored car pulled up. The guy came up with the gun, and the next guy walked in with the money, and they shot him in his neck right at the door. Okay?
Whoa.
And then they shot the guy who had the gun. But of course, and there was the driver of the car never came out. He stood there and he watched all of this. And that was Christmas Eve of 1999. And that guy who held the money, the bag, he was found to have set up these guys who had bad loans, and they used to walk or come upstairs to account control, and they planned that robbery together.
Wow.
So they wasn't supposed to shoot him. They were supposed to just get the money from him and shoot the person with the gun. But they shot him in his neck to make sure he died. And they shot the person with the gun. The person with the gun was just in shock where they shot him in his neck, right there on the door. Okay, so
that's a real movie get cut now.
Right. 2 days before Christmas Eve, or the day before Christmas Eve in 1999. Yep. So don't think that they're supposed to be a lookout car behind a truck as well. So these boys, they rob the armor truck, because either one of the armor truck guys involved, or they know that this man have a gun, and they come in to get this money. I don't know if you know a blind guy that walks around right now trying to encourage young boys and doing like community work and stuff like that. I can't tell you all his name, but y'all don't know, like a young, he ain't young no more, but he has to be like in his 40s now. And he robbed the armor truck, and they shot him in his face, but he only lost his sight. And now his testimony is he had to lose his sight, or he would have still been robbing and killing and doing all sorts of stuff. So he went to jail and he served his time, and now he's like some activist.
No, I don't know of him.
Yeah, but he's when he robbed the armor truck, he said he knew he had to kill that boy that day, but that boy shoot him first. And that's how he get caught. Yeah. So it's very, very, very dangerous. Very dangerous. And you see companies like McDonald's having the security got killed at First Caribbean ATM about 2 years ago. McDonald's had their security dropping their money. McDonald's, a big company like McDonald's. Okay, but he was a bodybuilder, so he thought he was, nobody would bother with him. No, they come right there and they headshot him right there on in Palmdale. So be very careful when it comes to money. Don't take any chances. And when I see the amateur guys go, I say, ever from 1999 when I was in that robbery, when the amateur there, I am not stopping because I know these boys, they robbing this amateur and they have intent to kill, and more than likely somebody inside working with them. Okay, so be careful and protect yourself. Because they have AK-47 and pistol, and then these boys get shotgun by them. If they lift that gun up to shoot, they dead. So be careful. Okay, guys, good. Y'all seem to be aware. Y'all following the various regulators and seeing the industry updates, and anybody see any seminars out there, or you are just trying to get through this?
Only the crypto thing is happening right now, and crypto island. I've been following.
Sorry, Flavia, I can't hear you.
You can hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you.
The crypto thing is happening now. Like, well, no, not the crypto thing. They're having a small business, I guess, meeting where they could meet with different banks, but it's happening in crypto. They call it Crypto Isle.
Yep. And y'all want to follow that? Remember the guy? He has $22 billion.
Yeah, BDB is spearheading it, and they ask for small business owners come out, give you business plans, see which opportunities for financing are available for you, things like that. So I've been following that a bit.
Okay, but are we attending? Remember, we need 5 revenue streams. Remember, we now have to make a job. We can't just depend on this 9 to 5. Because some of these 9 to 5 may cause us to compromise ourselves. Right? Anybody else working on revenue streams? Indira, you've been hearing this for 3 years now. You're working on these revenue streams.
Yeah, like I have to mispull it because I in one situation right now. I don't know how in the world I can meet a 1.5 goal monthly. I don't know how in the world that can happen. So I don't tell them, well, I've been signing off on that because I'm not stupid.
Okay, but it's your compliance department. Remember, we talked about unrealistic targets and people.
Well, when time to put that paper to pen, that's when they can see the hell gonna break loose. They can tell them that can't happen. 1.5 million a month, not a year. Let's be smart now. Let's be smart.
After pandemic, when gas prices is $7.39, remember smart.
And the word I can get that 1.5 million from monthly. You tell me. Please.
Smart goals. Remember, the goals must be smart. They must be specific, measurable, attainable, timely, and realistic. Realistic then timely. Okay, make sure.
I get better sense than that now, Miss Bullet. They can play that game with me.
Okay, but have your revenue streams, so you'd be prepared. What about you, Anita? Anita there? Daniqua? Jamal? Anybody here? Shanda, you're here?
I'm here.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry,
so
Miss Bullet.
Okay, you're working on your revenue. You're working on your revenue streams?
Yes.
Okay. So we don't get caught.
Yes, ma'am.
What about Shanda? Jamal?
Hi, Miss Bullet.
I look into it because I started working hard.
Okay, so I mean, when you work for yourself, you just have to work hard.
Goodness.
While you're young and have the strength and energy, don't wait till you get old like Miss Bullet. Do as much as you can now. So these same small business events and the SPDC, you want to join, you want to follow, and you want to see what opportunities are out there. Okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, good, good, good. Okay, so let's look at chapter 7, final chapter on risk, and then we're gonna move on to suspicious transactions, chapter 8. Just 3 chapters left and we'll be finished. Okay. So chapter 7 talks about risk profiling. And of course, we know by now that there are 3 different risk ratings that are done. And so we're going to start at the beginning. Let's see, where are we? So many things are open. We're going to start at the first type of risk rating. And of course, we know it's what type, which risk rating is, what is this? Which risk rating is this? Y'all up? Y'all talk back to Miss Bullet, please. Which risk rating this is at which level?
You mean where the cursor is?
Yeah, which
where the cursor is? That's green or what?
Yeah, this is at the country level. Okay, so first your country has to be risk rated, and then your company has to be risk rated, and then your clients have to be risk rated. Okay, but really it starts with the risk rating of the client. That what determines the company's risk rating, what determines the country's risk rating. Okay, and so in your risk appetite, you decide what type of products and services you're going to offer and what type of clients you are going to offer. Okay, and once you make that determination, then you decide that, hey, if I have Venezuela, which is a sanctioned country, and I offer correspondent banking, I offer bearer shares, all of these are high risk products and services, I offer trust services, then overall my institution is going to be a high risk institution, and it's going to be subjected to enhanced due diligence, right?
Correct.
So of course, no company wants to have to be subjected to enhanced due diligence by the regulator. That means they're going to be monitored annually, right? And so therefore companies try and put a strategy together where no more than 30% of their products and services that they offer contributes to their high risk rating. So everybody tries to stay below the 50% mark, or if we look at this legend, everybody will stay between, I guess, 5.6 and 5.8 to make sure that they're not overall rated as high risk. And just like the country, if all of the clients in a particular country makes a company high risk, then out of the 4,000 banks and trust services in the financial services sector, if the majority, 50% of them are high risk, then the country then becomes high risk, right? And so the governor put some a strategy in place to keep down the risk. Remember, we only want a certain amount of cash services businesses, the money services businesses. So we put a moratorium on how many cash and goes there could be, how many licenses he's gonna offer for Western Union. Okay, then he only offered 7 or 8 gaming licenses. Okay, because if we offer 10 gaming licenses, that may push us over the mark. And of course, we already know that we are here medium high, right? So we don't want to go over 6.5 or 6.8 to be a high risk country, because of course we know that some countries and some banks around the world, they simply say, we do not do business with high risk countries. Okay, so it depends on your customers and the products and services that you offer. If your institution becomes high risk, then if you have 10 high risk banks in the Bahamas, when they do a high risk rating on the Bahamas, all of the financial institutions are high risk, so then the Bahamas becomes high risk. Okay, so we want to ensure that we understand how it works. So I always say, pay attention to the methodology. And we looked at this methodology before. We know that there are 5 domains, and we know that 35% of domain 1 depends on your mutual evaluation report. And so we know Ms. Fuller said it 100 times, we were deficient in 22, and we satisfied, I think we are now compliant in 30 and largely compliant in the last 10, and they are being sorted out to be fully compliant, okay? But imagine if we didn't pay attention to those FATF recommendations. Imagine if we didn't fix our tax laws, okay? U.S. State Department International Narcotics Control Strategy Report, of course, we know that we are a transit country. Look at trafficking in persons. We see that our very own philanthropist just got a slap on the wrist of $5,000 because our prime minister wrote a letter saying that he is a good person. Okay, so that's 65%. So because we know this 5%, there's no way out. We had to fix our tax laws. We had to fix our 40 recommendations, or this big 65% would cause a problem for us. We would be risk rated high risk. Okay, then domain 2, corruption and bribery. Of course, we know where we're at. The world sees what's going on, and luckily, we still have a good CPI index, which is about 66%. Our bribery index, 81%. Okay, anything below 45 is considered a corrupt nation. Okay, then financial transparency standards, and you will see that every time. I mean, Hubert Ingram used to talk, and now even, not Hubert Ingram, Hubert Minnis talk, he would say, we're trying to be transparent and accountable. Okay, and so all of this play, you know, they just say it. Are they really transparent and accountable? I don't know. But all that plays a part in how the international regulators sees us. Okay, and so this is the methodology on how the country is risk rated. And it has to be written out because no country wants to be high risk. And so they are going to check, okay? The minister has to check. The governor of the central bank has to ensure that he can speak knowledgeably and argue that, hey, our perception index is 65. There's no way we should have gotten a low rating on bribery and corruption, even though, we haven't brought anybody before the courts, and the 5 people that we brought all were let go, and now one has made a complete mockery, and we've paid them back the legal fees. Okay, so you want to be able to speak knowledgeably and say, this is how it works. Okay, so within an organization, there is a client risk rating. And the client risk rating can be numerical, or it could be data. I worked at an institution where they used to say, if you're a PEP, or if you are from a high-risk country, say yes. If you are not a PEP and you're from a low-risk country, say no. And so if you got 3 yeses, you were considered high risk. If you got 3 no's, you were considered low risk. Okay, and so if you work in the compliance department, or if you work in account opening and you complete this risk rating, you should understand how your risk rating works. Okay, and you should be able to explain that the address and domicile of the holder can give you up to 20 points. The nationality of the holder can give you up to 10 points. The nationality of the beneficial owner can give you up to 10 points. The occupation gives you 30 points. Country of work gives you 20 points, okay? And if we go down to this, can you all see this risk rating? You all there?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let me see if I can open it a little, right. Okay, so if you look at it, it's goes with nationality. And so you wanna say, this person is from Afghanistan, or this person is from Iran or Russia, or one of the high-risk countries, and there's a drop-down box and you should be able to select it. your methodology for this is, where do you get these country risk ratings from? Okay, and there are two places you get it from, either the Basel Committee or Transparency International. Okay, the methodology is just saying, where do we get this information from? Whilst we do not share this with our customers, you have to prove to audit or to compliance that this person is indeed high, medium, or low. Okay, so one of the questions on your homework, I think it asks you, what are the categories? And remember, all of the classwork questions used to be on the final exam too. And for some reason, persons always got this wrong. But these are the categories. Okay, what categories would you find on a risk rating form? Nationality, domicile, professional sector, country of work. Okay, and depending on how the Basel Committee or Transparency International risk rated that country is how you would get a total in the risk column over here for this person. So they could be born in Afghanistan, but domicile in the Bahamas. They can only do work probably in China. Their business activity could be gold or silver or gas and oil. They are all high risk. And so, of course, at the end of the day, you will see that all of these points together add up. And normally, if you are between, at least for this risk rating, the legend would say, if you came out with 0 to 30 points, you are low risk. If you came out with 30 to 60 points, you are medium risk. And if you came out with more than 60 points, you are considered high risk. So of course, on the account opening package is where you would get this information from. Where was this person born? Where do they live? Persons in the sales department, they don't wanna have to do enhanced due diligence and review every year. And so therefore they try to manipulate the information to make sure that the customer does not come out as high risk, okay? And so compliance has to go behind and check to make sure none of the data was manipulated, none of the data it's correct. I have a Venezuelan passport, but I say I live in Spain, but I don't have a work permit for Spain, okay? So you wanna ensure that you understand the methodology of the risk rating and how it works, and you wanna ensure that nobody can manipulate any of the data. And the data that is written on the account opening package makes sense, okay? And see, categories again. The type of account, transactional activity, whether they are cash intensive or not, the value of the deposit, okay? On this form, you will see that we even have a special risk factor. And right here is where if we selected yes, it would automatically, you could have been born in the Bahamas, only work in the Bahamas, but there's something, you've probably been to jail before, or there's something you have a pending case, there's a special risk that we can just select and you would automatically become high risk, because we want to watch this account every year because of some special activity. In the high risk PEP category, you select PEP, you automatically high risk, okay? And so each client has a risk rating. And if I am high risk on my personal account, then I should be high risk on any other account. So if I was high risk on one account, I should be high risk on all accounts. But a lot of times companies do not map persons properly. I signed on Royal Bank's account for 16 years, okay? But I also had my personal account. If Royal Bank account was high risk, we would have to say that I am high risk as well. Or you could write a memo to file and say, well, Ms. Bullitt is high risk because there's a PEP on Royal Bank account. She is not closely associated. That PEP just hasn't happened to be the CEO of Royal Bank. And so therefore, we will conditionally only make a low risk on a personal account. However, if I'm a close associate at that PEP, then my account should be, or my account should be high risk. Okay, so you want to properly map persons because they are on 3 or 4 different accounts in your institution. And on one account, they high risk, on the next account, they medium, on the next account, they low. Okay, that's not consistent. You want to ensure that together the person is the risk is documented properly. Or if there's an amendment, you want to write a memo to file so clearly audit can see the reasoning why I would be low risk on one account and high risk on the next. Okay. Is there any questions about this risk rating? Is it clear? Do we understand? Do we understand methodology? Do we see the categories? And that's what the question for class asks. The classwork, what are the categories?
Can we get that? No, wait, it's confidential stuff.
Hi, Clavia, you speaking to us?
Yeah, could we get like this a confidential thing?
Yeah, this stuff, Miss Bullard, yeah, I guess giving you all a visual.
Okay, no problem.
I give you all a visual. Okay, just so you all would understand. Rather than just reading from the book, I want you all to understand and clearly see how it works. Okay?
Ms. Bullard, like you suggested, which makes a lot of sense, that we go over these videos, these YouTube videos, as long as they're provided. I think once we do that, we'll get back on track.
Okay. Well, hopefully Miguel should have everything up and running.
Yeah, because I need to put these in a library on my smart TV so I could just click and click.
Yeah, and just chill out and listen. Okay. I'll follow up with him this week. Okay. So
okay, thank you.
Okay. Do we understand risk at the country level? Do we understand risk rating at the company level? Do we understand risk rating at the client level?
Ms. Bullard, I have a question.
Go ahead.
So, let's just say, because you mentioned about a person being a PEP on one account, but on another account, they probably wouldn't be listed as a PEP. But let's say there's an instance where a person already has an account, right? A regular person, they already have an account with the institution. And at the time when they would have opened the account, they weren't a PEP, right? But during the course of the years and over time, their status has changed and they would now be considered a PEP. What happens in that case? Because it's up to the institution, I know, to do their due diligence and where they would get updated information and things of that nature. But let's say that, because I know they only do that over, like, I guess, a period of time, every 5 years, 6 years, or whatever. And the person status is changed into a PEP before the bank updates that information. Is it just solely on the client to go in and say, hey, my status is now changed. I don't know if you need to update my profile, or, I mean, like, how does that work?
No. What we do, the law says, at a reasonable time. And so you are rated high, medium, or low. And that means if you are rated high, each year, your information should be updated. If you're medium, every 2 years. If you're low risk, every 3 years. So there should never be a 5-year interval. Okay, because remember now, you send your risk framework to the regulator and the regulator agrees. The regulator won't agree that you check it every 5 years. But what you are supposed to do is when the elections are coming around, somebody in compliance, they sit down and they write all the names, even the DNA and all the COI people, and say, we now need to, start to watch these people and see what happens with this election. So there
Okay.
should be an indication already in the system,
Okay.
you know, possibility of becoming a PEP. And definitely after the election they are won, then you need to change them immediately, because that's public knowledge.
So
You know?
even if they run, they wouldn't be considered a PEP, like even if they run and lost.
It depends on your influence. I have a PEP now in my class, and she is adamant that she should not be a PEP. I said, ma'am, you was on the ticket of the last election. How, you know, how could I would risk rate you as a PEP? And remember now, in your risk appetite, that is a part of your framework that you submit to the regulator used to say that 1 year after you leave office, you are no longer considered a PEP. If you don't have any affiliation, they remove that, but they expect you to put in policy what your internal policy is. And so our internal policy is, once you is a PEP, you're always a PEP. Another policy that we have is, another company has a policy that after you leave office for 5 years, we will do a review and then see if you, is a PEP or not. Like Perry Christie, he on his 6th or 7th year now, but he now on TV with Rafe Davis saying he's the head of the urban renewal or something like that. And so therefore he's still affiliated, right? So it's on a case by case basis, but your institution has to have it documented so your staff will know what to do and everybody will be doing the same thing. You know, and so you have to ask, like what's his name? With the COI man name? With Maria Jackson Payne?
Lincoln
Payne, yeah.
Lincoln?
He's still is the head of the COI. You wouldn't still consider him a PEP. He's still out there advocating and campaigning and every day. Him and Maria Jackson, you wouldn't consider him a PEP?
Yes.
Right. So you're right. You don't necessarily they can try to convince you that they're not. Because they don't want to be subjected to enhanced due diligence, which causes more fees and more work. Like I say, if you have a high risk account with my institution, that's $1,500 in fees off the bat. Everybody else is $250. Nobody wants to pay that. So we have somebody out of Israel saying that there's the head of the Drug Enforcement Association reporting to the Prime Minister. The minute they reporting to the Prime, right, they come up with all sorts of stuff. We say you just report to the Prime Minister and you just an association, use a PEP.
Just that title alone, even if he didn't even use the Prime Minister.
Now that's just the association. They're saying the police unit. There's an association. But he said he reports to the Prime Minister, so I said, okay, then use a PEP. And he argued and argued and argued. I said, well, we can't open the account. You have to pay the high risk fees. Okay, so you want to look out for these things and how the information presented to you, you want to make sure it's corroborated. Like a lot of times on the front line, we just check, we receive a job letter, check, we receive financials, check. We don't corroborate. We don't see if this company making money. We don't ask, well, why you have $2 million in receivables? Who's collecting money? What's going on? You know, we don't look at the job letter and say, well, you make $2,000 a month. How you depositing $10,000? And we definitely don't make sure that people stay within their profile. Okay, and these risk ratings manipulated every single time because nobody wants to be high risk. Okay, so you have to check. If the passport is from Brazil, but they say they are Swiss, where's the work permit? Where's the residency? There's none. Then no, you cannot just be from a lower risk country. Or a lower tax jurisdiction if you cannot confirm that you actually have a resident there or you live there. No more go into a country and getting an alive phone and document you from the Bahamas. Okay, and that's what they got away with in the past, and so they're still trying to do it. Okay, and then like I said, companies don't want to be high risk because the regulator suggested to us if your company is high risk, then we want to put your audits in line with your risk rating. That means you'll be audited every year. Like, my God, auditors come for half a year and take over your life. Could you imagine audit coming every year? Okay, and then these ratings used to be stagnant, but they are very volatile now. All sorts of, remember I told you all the CPI index dropped in, where was it? Puerto Rico, because of Hurricane Maria. Okay, and so what is happening is we go and get this information from Transparency International in 2010, and we never look back to see if the country ratings are updated. So you even have to make sure that these forms are updated in line with the methodology, because we're using the Basel Index. So if the Basel Index updates, then you need to update your form, because the Basel Index has us now as medium. They can put us as high risk, and so that would need to be updated. Okay, but we are in the Bahamas. But if we was in Switzerland, it would matter. But of course, we would automatically put Bahamas as low because we are Bahamians. But any other country would have to have us as high risk if the Basel Committee changes it. So each year you have to check these rates to make sure they are in line with your form is up to date. Another common problem with this form is if we keep this in Excel, okay, and it picks up microbes. And there's something called end user computing, which means like when you put in a formula, the formula remains. But we have 10 persons who do risk rating, and each of them email in the form picking up microbes, the formula is dropping out, and we risk rating the people and all of the information in it wrong. Okay, so you have to check. There has to be somebody, and it's normally the compliance department that is in charge of this form to make sure that end user computing, meaning the end user has the correct information, that there are not 10 versions of this form, that the formulas didn't drop out, and that the Basel Committee and the Transparency International information that is in there under the methodology is still correct. Okay, and that's normally the compliance department. So it's not that the compliance department must complete the risk rating. Most companies have it that way, but that makes compliance operational, and compliance should not be operational. So really the front line or the verification department should complete this and then submit it to compliance, and compliance should just check to make sure the information was corroborated properly. Any questions? Are we understanding? Can we answer the question in the classwork?
Yes, I think we could answer that question in the class.
Okay, let's answer it. Let's see. Let me pull it up. So I gotta make sure. I gotta triple check you all now. So we winding down, and I have to make sure you know what we're talking about. Okay, Indira. Identify the risk categories that should be considered on the risk rating form. Explain the methodology and the scoring system. Give me 3 categories that should be on it. Indira. Indira, go on.
Oh, Miss Bullet, sorry. It was the nationality, the employment, and it was something else. You know, I came in and out because I tell you I did with this little girl. Okay. I on the right page.
Yeah,
the
yeah.
Right okay.
Yeah, but what would you write on this? You need to know so you could write this on in your essay.
Well, when I go over the video tonight, I got be able to answer that.
Okay, good.
Anyway, I did it with this little girl, and you all this noise she making it, yeah.
Okay, all right. But y'all please try to get some help and get somebody to help you so you can pay attention because it's
Yeah,
hard.
because daddy swing me. I know you can do that.
Yeah, okay, all right. So who can help Indira? She gave us nationality. Who else is there? Who can help Indira?
Ms. Bullard, I think the other one was domicile, eh?
Correct. Where do you live? Which country? You may be born in the Bahamas, but you're domiciled in Spain. That means you have either citizenship or work permit. And that is very important because, of course, persons want to live in the jurisdiction where they pay the least tax. And so, therefore, when all these laws changed in 2018, persons, it was cheaper to buy the house for $750,000 than to pay tax to the US, to Spain, to Germany every year. And so you saw everybody saying that I live in the Bahamas, I live in the UAE, or I live in Thailand. They are the low tax jurisdictions. Okay, so that domicile is important. If that passport is from Spain, you cannot put that they're domiciled in Thailand unless there's a work permit or a citizenship. Okay, no more telephone. Before we used to just take a proof of address, which was a telephone bill or a rental agreement, and we found that they were getting Airbnbs as rental agreements for a summer home, or we found that they were going to like an Alive and getting just a telephone number. Okay, and so the U.S. increased their indicia. They say if you have a U.S. driver's license, if you have a U.S. Telephone number or a U.S. address, and you just for shipping, you owe some taxes to America. So people that discourage people. So you want to check and make sure that domicile is correct. Very good, Anita. Doniqua, give me another category.
Sorry, I was going to ask you to repeat the question.
See it there, chapter 7. On the screen, you can see the screen?
I'm looking at it now, sorry.
You can see it or you can't see it?
Yes, I can see it.
Okay, so we are identifying the categories on a risk rating form. You don't see a risk rating form at work?
No.
No?
Mm-mm. I'm not in that. I'm background at work, and I work in a completely different to do. So no, I wouldn't be able to see these things.
Okay, who else? Jamal, can you help Doniqua? What's the category on the risk rating form?
I think if I remember correctly, you spoke on whether there's a PEP.
Correct. Yeah. So I just want y'all to understand. Y'all saying y'all understand, but nationality, domicile, professional sector, business activity, country of work, and like.
What about their occupation?
Yeah, well, business activity or country of work and professional sector would be,
okay.
Yeah, occupation,
okay.
Right. Yeah. Okay, so this is how you answer that question. Okay. Explain methodology and the scoring. Remember we looked? This is the scoring. You can get up to 20 points for domicile, 10 points for nationality, and this is how you explain the scoring. Okay, and then you would say, normally, if you get 0 to 30 points, you're low, 30 to 60 points, you're medium, over 60, you're high risk. Methodology, where are you getting this information from? Remember, for country rating, there's a few categories we use this country rating for. So that country rating would be for nationality, for domicile, and country of work. So those three categories, if you had a high risk country and those three categories, remember you can get up to 20 points. That's 60 points right there. And that ain't even half of the form. So if you're from a high risk country, more than likely overall, you will have a high risk rating. Another popular thing that central bank and other regulators mention, and I don't think it's on this one, is did you meet the customer? And remember, in the offshore world, we don't ever meet the customer. We normally have external asset managers or business introducers, and they meet the customer on our behalf. And so therefore, we say, no, we don't meet the customer. So just that particular category, you would get the full 20 or 10 points in. That does not mean overall, because you could be, a nationality could be Bahamian, the domicile could be Bahamian, the professional sector could be Bahamian, and you would come all the way down to, did you meet the customer? And you would get probably just 10 points overall. Okay, so there are certain categories that automatically make you high risk, and some that would just give you a high rating in that category, but does not mean you would be overall high risk.
So, Ms. Ballard.
Yes.
I just looking at the form and trying to, understand too. So, in terms of the points, right? Mm-hmm. And let's say a client, they, I guess, have high points for each category, to the point where they're over the 60. At that juncture, I guess the company would say, we can't do business with you then.
No, they just say that you're high risk. Once you go over 60, you just high risk. And then
so they would just rate as opposed to not doing business with them at all then.
Right. So you do have some high risk clients, but then you have to go look at your full portfolio. And then sometimes they say, we are up to our limit with high risk clients. We do not want to be overall high risk as a bank or an institution. So therefore, we can take on clients, but no more high risk. There has been points like where they say, well, no, it'll be outside of our appetite to be overall high risk, because then the bank now would be subjected to enhanced due diligence.
Okay.
You see what I mean? And they don't want that. Yeah. But normally you probably say 30% of my portfolio can be high risk. And somebody is watching and saying, well, you're at 29%. One more high risk account and poof, the bank is high risk. So are you going to take on that risk? Yes or no? No, then we can't open that account. Okay. I still don't feel like you're clear though.
Wait, gone.
Sorry, would you say, Clavia?
Oh, she took the phone.
I was writing.
Oh. What you writing? The categories?
Yes.
Okay.
I will make sure I have it.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, like I said, that's a very popular question. And to me, that was an easy question to answer. But persons, persons couldn't answer it.
Okay, we good, Miss Paula.
Okay. All right. Good. Okay, so that's how the risk rating works. Country level, company level, client level. And really, it depends on your portfolio of clients. If you have a portfolio of clients and they are high risk, then your company will primarily be high risk. Then your country, if you have 10 banks and all high risk. So everybody is, they try to manipulate the system and say, oh, we low risk off the bat, right? So the regulator in their assessments, they tell you, look, don't just say you low risk. Please prove, and they ask you questions. What percentage of your business is oil and gas? Which percentage of your business is marijuana? Which percentage of your business is pornography? And we used to say none until, like I said, we did a deep dive And we found out that one of the clients, it's a technology business, but he provides the platform for Pornhub, you know? And so, of course, you know, the people are sending me the help because I said, why can't we keep the account open? He makes a lot of money. And it's like, Miss Bullet, how could you say that we get, you know, you know, and every time we say, well, we get near the high risk, there's like, let's close out the Pornhub, you know, so it just depends. But he's a good customer and we make a lot of money from him, so I don't see no reason why we should close him up. But sorry for being unchristian for saying that. Yeah.
They just wanted to close the account because the Pornhub, that's it?
Yes, yes, simply because he provides the technological platform for Pornhub.
Yeah.
And so, you know, all the sisters and the deaconess who sitting on the board looking at me saying, "Miss Bullet, shame on you." I said,
No,
okay.
that don't come before you, don't, Miss Bullet.
I say it's business. I say this man had an account for 10 years. You all just finally do a proper review and realize that that's what he does. And send Miss Bullet straight there for saying keep the account open.
Bullet, Rodney Marcus say, Bullet sure and safe.
Yeah. Oh Lord. Yep. Okay, so we understand risk rating, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay,
Yes.
well, I hope so, because yeah, 3 more weeks and we'll see how it goes. So I guess there's no use we make changes now. Hopefully, persons, like I say, I speak to Miguel. Miguel will get it up on the website, all the classes that are missing, and hopefully persons will be able to catch up. Okay, but like I say, please don't leave without ensuring that you understand the homework question for the class and the classwork question. Please know that you know how to at least answer it. Okay, don't be totally confused and walk away. Okay, but try, like I say, try to organize your life from now so you could have some little extra time to unwind and feel good and then to focus and study. Okay, because there's a lot of information and it's difficult to work and manage home and to retain it. Okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Right. Okay, guys, so y'all have a good weekend. And any other questions or concerns?
No, ma'am.
Not at this time.
Okay, so y'all take care and we'll do
One question.
Go ahead.
When you will put us in our groups?
Well, when I send the review sheet, so when we get to class of chapter 9, chapter 10, yeah, I can send a review sheet.
Okay.
Yeah, hopefully by then more persons will be showing up. So I'll know who's here and who dropped out.
Don't place me with nobody who don't show up to class, Miss Bullard.
Okay, well, we see you here and these persons have been consistent, you know. Shanda, you okay? I didn't hear from Shanda this week.
I'm
Shanda,
here.
you
I'm
good?
okay. I was listening. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, good. Okay. Okay, guys, y'all take care and we'll see you next week.
Have a good day.
Have a good weekend.
Have a good weekend.
Good afternoon, everyone.